This is a podcast about our lived experience, which unfortunately includes infant death and subsequent mental health struggles. Please take good care of yourself and only listen if this content feels safe for you right now. We'll still be here when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Judith.
And I'm Alina. We both lost babies to SIDS in winter 2021.
In the throes of grief, I reached out to a stranger on the internet and our friendship was born.
In the years since, we've been working hard to survive, rebuild, and navigate the continual challenges that have come our way, including divorce,
Job loss,
dating while bereaved,
moving multiple times,
health scares,
pregnancy and parenting a living child,
starting new jobs, and so much more.
We are tired.
Happily ever after is out of the question for us, but this podcast documents our journeys to happier ever after because we believe life after loss is worth living.
So join us as we laugh, cry until we laugh.
Welcome to As Long as I'm Living podcast.
We're so glad you're here.
I am feeling emotional right now.
Yeah, I know. You're having a really hard week, huh, my love?
I mean, no. I mean, I'm emotional in general because I'm doing an IVF cycle and I'm a disaster and a half. But I'm feeling emotional in this minute in particular because did you know that somebody supports us monthly with money? Gives us 99 cents every month. Monica!
Oh my God, Monica! That's so nice.
Like, I literally saw it and I was like, gonna cry. I was like, that's so nice.
This is a new thing.
I turned it on like a long time ago, but we've never like advertised it. And it's just sitting in the like description of our podcast episodes that technically people can support us monthly if they want. And by the way, there's like no expectation that anyone would ever in a zillion years do that. But Monica is supporting us every month. Shout out to Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
How cute is that?
With that, we will be able to pay for 1/10 of our Canva subscription. We're so grateful.
It's good to see your face. I miss you.
I know I've spoken to you all week, but I feel like I haven't because I've been a little absorbed in my problems. You've been absorbed in your problems.
We have a lot of problems. I just want to say, first of all, I don't want to have to do a lot of editing on this, so let's keep it tight. Listeners, this one's going to be interesting. Strap in.
Okay, I would be happy to. So, this is an update episode.
Just a life update.
That we planned on recording weeks ago. Like we knew we were going to have to give an update this week. Like we knew that was the plan for this week's episode. But I feel like what happened in the time of the update was not expected. I feel like I have more updates than I was anticipating. So, yes. Okay. Let's start with your updates because I actually think they're a little more simple.
Yes. So my updates are I moved. I think I've talked about that. And then the big thing is I'm in the middle of an IVF cycle.
So tell me about that. First of all, is this the last IVF cycle you're going to do? Is this not? Like, what are your goals for this IVF cycle?
Yeah. I mean, so my goal right at this very, very minute is just to like fucking get through the day because I'm absolutely miserable. And yeah. I think, there's been all these questions. There's a lot of question marks about the particular gene that we're selecting out. We're getting more and more information about it. And it's becoming more gray. It's less black and white whether I need to do IVF at all. And it's becoming more gray. There's just a lot of decisions that my husband and I have to make about whether this is the path we want to pursue to having a baby. And there was no world where we weren't going to do this cycle, but this is the last cycle I can do with the current tests that I have set up, the current genetic probe. So we're going to have to regroup after this one and decide if we want to keep going. And I don't know how this cycle is going to go. If you listeners recall, I got no usable embryos last time, which fucking sucked. It felt like a big fucking waste of my time, energy, money, etc. And so this time I'm hoping for a healthy embryo would be great. that would be great.
Well, okay, another thing you told me that I thought was interesting is you had told me that before you were hoping to get all the embryos that you wanted to build your family. And you told me that now you're just trying to get one embryo or like enough to have one child. Your goals have changed. And I don't know. And I think when we had spoken about that, you had said that because you felt like this response, this IVF, this you were doing IVF out of anxiety, and so you were like, maybe I will feel more comfortable having a child without IVF, if I already have a living child. But I'm wondering, as the information gets more gray, if that's still the case.
That's a great question. I mean, I think before the first cycle, like I assumed I was going to have a better response, like a better ovarian response, more eggs, more embryos than I did. And all signs are pointing to that was kind of a fluky cycle. Like we were doing it during the wedding. There was a bunch of shit, right? So like my response this time has so far been a little bit better. Again, we're waiting to see how it goes. But before that first cycle, I was just like so optimistic that it was all going to go well. I was going to get a bunch of embryos. Like there was no reason I wasn't going to. So I think it felt like normal to be like, oh, I want to get all my kids. And now it's like I just have to take it like one step at a time. Like one fucking step at a time. And the current step I'm on is one cycle trying to get one embryo. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like greedy. Like would I love to get 5 healthy embryos right now so that I can have all my kids? By the way, I don't want 5 kids. I'm just saying like, extras in case the transfers don't take. Yeah, I would love that. But like, that just doesn't seem realistic. And so I'm trying to like lower my expectations and just take this one step at a time. And I still feel like I'm going to feel differently. Like I could easily feel differently after another kid. And we could learn more about this gene after more time. Like there's a lot that I still have to learn, and I just, I'm taking it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, Yeah. But it's like, it kind of feels like for a long time, I felt like I had a plan. Like I was going to just do IVF and have my kids, Once I found out about this gene this time last year, it was a plan. Do IVF, have my kids. And now it's like, are having to regroup again and be like, is this the path we're going to take? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, if I can't get embryos, like, it feels silly to be not trying to get pregnant naturally at the same time as I'm waiting around to do an IVF cycle. Like, it feels like I'd rather have, this is going to sound crazy to say as someone who has a dead kid, but I'd rather have a chance to have a kid at all than to like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to have a kid. And the chance that they're going to die, even with this gene, is not 100% because I have it and I'm alive. So it just feels like, I don't know. I'm thinking way too much about statistics and studies and numbers and all of this. It feels like I'm trying to like make it a science, but it's really like an art. Like it's a heart thing, not a science. So that's where I'm at.
How ironic that it actually is a heart thing.
Good one. Very good. We're both wearing red today. We match, kind of.
Well, this morning, so my daughter's in preschool now, and so in the past we've had to watch her on Fridays because we were trying to save money, and so we only had childcare Monday through Thursday, and so that just meant Fridays were really stressful, and I could never get any work done, and it was just really stressful. But now she's in school, and so on Friday mornings, my husband offered to do the morning shift, so I get to sleep in, and then I do every other morning shift, so let's. But the point is that he usually does nighttime, and I usually do the morning. But now I get to sleep in on Friday mornings, and I get to work, which is like nice because I have so much to do. So I'm feeling so I feel like my brain is getting sharper, and that's how I got with that joke. I feel like my brain is moving faster, and I'm so impressed by what it says. Well, Alina, I've been like anxiously awaiting every bit of news that you
By the way,
have.
I'm going to refresh the patient portal right now and see if my lab results from this morning's monitoring are in. They're not here.
Damn it. My understanding is that the retrieval is looking like it's going to be Sunday or Monday. And so we will all be waiting with bated breath. And as someone who supported you during the last time, what I've learned is just to tell our audience that you get the number of eggs immediately, but that number like dwindles. So you can't get too attached to that number. It's just the first number. And then a couple of days later, there's another number. And a couple of days later, there's another number. There's some attrition. So we will be waiting with bated breath to hear the update on your numbers. And what I recall from last time is that you felt like shit for a week after.
I felt like shit, honestly, from like the whole time until my next period. I felt like shit. Like I didn't start to feel normal it's like an entire month of shit, honestly, from the stims all the way through the period. Like it's a disaster.
Yes. So we've got some time ahead of us before things return to a baseline. And that's
okay. So last night was probably my worst night yet. Actually, let me take a minute to talk about what's different about this cycle than last cycle, and then we can get into your shit, because there's a lot there too. But so last cycle, we were buying a house, we were planning a wedding. I mean, literally, like, the Saturday was the wedding. The Sunday we sent a check to buy our house, and the Tuesday was my egg retrieval. So, like, when I say we did it all at the exact same time, we literally did it all at the exact same time, and it was insane. And I was unhinged. Like, I was in the worst mood. I was furious at my husband, like, literally 18 of the 24 hours of the day, except when I was asleep. Like, that poor man, he was so long suffering. Like, people who were at my wedding, especially if you were at the night before the wedding, I was like a raging bitch. Like, I was just like not myself. I felt horrible. I felt in my body very unattractive. Like, it was really, really, really bad. And I think, like, both of us, my husband and I both, like, I feel like we just, like, didn't know what to expect. Like, people always say, like, IVF's bad, but, like, you don't know the ways it's bad until you're actually doing it. And it's really bad in, like, 10,000 different ways. And the actual shots are, like, the least bad part about it, honest to God. Other people who have done IVF are like, yeah, duh. But like, I didn't know what was going to be bad about it until I did it. This time around, we like put tons of plans in place. We canceled every single thing we had going on. We just like made a pact with each other that we were not going to grocery shop. We were not going to try to cook. We've been like ordering takeout. We've been going out to dinner a lot. Like, we started doing marriage counseling. We have like a marriage counselor that we're talking to once a week during this whole process to like keep us on track. And like, we literally recorded a video by us to our future selves that was like, when you feel like shit and when you hate each other, it's the drugs, it's IVF. And we've watched it so many times.
Yeah.
And it's been like really comforting. But like, my husband has to say to me like 10 times a day, like, Alina, it's IVF. It's not you. It's not the way you feel. Like, it's not like the way you feel about your life in general. It's IVF. Like, this is not who you are. Like, you're not a raging bitch. Like, although I'm actually less bitchy this time. I'm just sadder this time. Like, I've been so emotional. Last night, I had one of those like heaving, sobbing, snot everywhere meltdowns on the floor. Like, the bad ones, like the really bad ones. And it was so weird because like my body is sadly kind of used to that. But it was weird to be feeling that bad, not about Quinn. Like, I just felt like the sadness was just pouring out of my body, unrelated to my dead son. I was like very confused by it. I was like trying to comfort myself with all of my Quinn things, and it like doesn't.
Well, I know exactly what you're saying. You just remember a couple of weeks ago when I had that like same situation, the heaving sob, the panic attack, and then I was talking to my EMDR therapist, and he's like, "What you're describing to me has nothing to do with your son." And I was like, "Wait a minute,
exactly.
It's still this bad, just for different reasons. Like, not only am I doing it with my son, but I'm gonna be heaving, sobbing like this for just like my life, like." So I definitely relate to that.
So that sucks, but I'm just, like I said, taking it like one day at a time, and I'm almost done.
Well, no more soon.
I'm almost done with this cycle.
Yeah.
Thank God. So
you are almost
that's
done.
what's up with me.
And your body's doing a great job.
It is. It is doing a good job so far.
Yeah.
We had a different protocol this time.
Yeah. So you have the same numbers of follicles, just this time the follicles are all the same size.
Yeah, so the issue last time was at the time of the retrieval, which the timing of it was dictated a little bit by the wedding, so it wasn't at the optimal time. I had some eggs that were post-mature and some eggs that were premature. So although I had like 11 or 12 follicles at the time of the retrieval, the eggs, I only got 5 eggs and only 2 of them fertilized, and then only 1 of them made it to a blastocyst, and that blastocyst is not good quality. So that's the first time. This time I have, at this moment, well, actually, I don't know how many I have as of today, because I haven't gotten the numbers yet, but I have 13 follicles, and they're all almost about the same size, and they're all the right size. So like, I am optimistic that we will have higher than, like, so last time it was 11 and it went down to 5. I'm optimistic that the 13, there will be more than 5 or 6 eggs, hopefully. And hopefully more than 2 of them will fertilize. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
And yeah, what was different this time, in case people give a shit about IVF protocols. Not that most people do, but we did estrogen priming this time to get my follicles like all synced up. So I took estradiol, leading up to my period this cycle. And it seems to have helped because all of my follicles are about the same size this time. Whereas last time I had like a cohort that was rather large and then a second cohort that was small. So it's very interesting, the science of it. And that's that.
Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful that you'll get it better.
Me too. I will keep you updated. You, Judith, and
Thanks,
also the listeners.
Okay, so that's that.
That's that. So you have a lot going on, Judith. You have the holidays. This geopolitical conflict in the Middle East, which we talked about already a lot.
Yes.
And then in addition,
and my
you
daughter,
have some stuff going on in your personal life that has been both good and bad and hard.
Yeah, my daughter started preschool this week.
Which, by the way, she is so cute and she is so ready for school. That girl is like
She's
such a vibrant human being.
Yeah, she is.
She's just ready to take on the world. Like her little first day of school outfit is like out of control. She was so cute.
Is that the cutest thing in the entire world?
Her little backpack. There's something about like little kids in backpacks and lunchboxes. Like it is, honest to God, one of the cutest things on planet Earth. I swear to God.
It's so cute. Dropping her off, it feels like such an exciting adventure every day. I love it. And I told my husband on the first day of school, we walked to drop her off. And the whole time on the way there, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for her. And I'm so sad I didn't get this moment with Aiden. I'm so excited for her to play, to do their fall project with leaf stampers. And I'm so sad that I didn't get this. It's another milestone that I see, like every day, things that all these other alive children are doing that my son never got a chance to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard. You had asked me, you're like, how do you think Aiden would have liked school? And I was like, you seemed so confident in your answer. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think Quinn would have been kind of a mama's boy. And I think he would have eventually really liked school. But I think that he would have had a hard time with the drop off. That's what I think. But then he would have had a good time. Yeah. Like, I don't think he would have been a shy kid who like hated school altogether and whatever. Like, I think he would have had a good time. But I do think he would have been like nervous and like a little bit introverted, and like it would have been a lot of change and stimulation for him. That's what I think. Whereas your daughter, like, we knew how she was going to respond. She was going to be like, bye-bye.
Yesterday when I dropped her off, she didn't even turn around. Like, she just walked into the building. She didn't even wave bye. She just like left. She was like, okay, yeah, this is where I go. You go do whatever you do. Work to make money.
She's also saying no, which is so cute.
Alina, I know. When I talk to you on the phone, you're like, Judith, it's so cute. And meanwhile, I'm like, she's pulling things off the shelves. She's like refusing to eat. She's throwing food on the floor. And you're like, oh my God, she's so cute. And I'm like, this is so not cute.
Like, I don't want to minimize how absolutely fucking annoying I'm sure it is day in and day out. But like in small doses, like hearing you say, do you want apples? No. Do you want peaches? No. Do you want to go in the bath? No. Do you want to get out of the bath? No. Do you want to go outside? No. Do you want to stay inside? No.
And now, like, I've learned that you're supposed to offer choices. Mm-hmm. So I'll say, do you want cheese or a tomato? No.
And the way she knows she's saying no. Like, she shakes her head and she's literally like, no. And she thinks about it too. She goes, no.
I don't want to get too, like, I don't know if this is really painful to some people. So if it is, please cut it out. But one thing that she did yesterday that I thought was so cute was she was like doing all the no thing again. I was like, oh, my baby's back with her nose. And then she pointed to her nose and goes, nose, no, nose. Which I thought was so funny because
that's hard for people to learn plurals versus, that's complicated. Yeah. But yeah, all this to say, I would say your days are full would be a good way to put it.
My days are full.
And whereas I feel like my days are, I'm just waiting for 8:30 p.m. when I can inject myself with drugs and go to bed. Like, I've got nothing going on. Actually, that's a lie. I forgot to say the other part that's going on with me that is incredibly stressful. And I'm not going to get into details, but work has been excruciatingly stressful the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like really bad,
Yeah.
really, really, really bad in a way that I've never experienced before. And it's adding to my stress in a very, very, very significant way.
I believe it. I believe it. Another thing that's been really difficult is we're actually coming on a year of my husband looking for a job. He had a job for a couple months in the middle there, but next month will be a year, and it's been difficult. I think we both sacrificed a lot for him to have a career. I moved around the country. He went to schooling. There was a lot that we sacrificed, and it's a hard pill for me to swallow that this is happening. And at the same time, I see so much beautiful growth in him and his capacity for joy. It feels to me like, in some ways, a sabbatical,
Mhm.
like an unwanted
A healing
sabbatical. Like, this
sabbatical.
is a healing sabbatical. And I can see both sides. I see it's been really, really difficult financially, emotionally, whatever. And at the same time, there's a piece of me, and I don't want this quote to be taken out of context. So just bear with me for a minute. There is a piece of me that feels my husband will only be as happy as he will be because Aiden died.
Yeah.
I believe his capacity for joy on this earth was transformed by the loss of his son.
I remember when we interviewed him for the podcast, which was a great episode, but he said something like before Aiden's death, if you think about mood on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is the happiest you could possibly be and 0 is the most devastated you could possibly be. He said he lived his life around a 5. Like he just hovered around a 5 all the time. Maybe he was a 6, maybe he was a 3 or 4, but he was basically a 5. And now I feel like he is frequently at 1 or a 2 or a 0.
Yeah.
And also at an 8 or a 9.
Yes. And he'll be at an 8 or a 9 on a Friday at 3 p.m.
Yeah, just random.
He'll say to me, I don't think I've been this happy since I was 5 years old. He said that to me just last week. And he's like, I just feel like, aside from the job thing and the dead son thing, he's like, I just feel a peace in my heart that I've never known. And that's only because Aiden died. That's a crazy thing to say.
I feel like something that you and I talked about a couple weeks ago that I want to touch on in this episode is we talked about a lot. The phrase that you hear a lot is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But I actually think what you and I have been experiencing recently is 2 steps back, 3 steps forward. It's every time we have a really bad couple of weeks, we emerge from that shit and come out feeling better than we felt before we went into it. And it's it feels like you're like a caterpillar in a cocoon and you have to melt down into goo and then you emerge this beautiful butterfly. I really feel like that has happened cyclically in my grief, in my loss. I have a period of a couple weeks where I'm really fucked in the head and in the body. I'm a disaster zone. And then I wake up and I'm wow, the sky is so pretty today. And I all of a sudden I'm wow, food tastes so good. And I'm this is a good life. Meanwhile, 8 hours before I was I hate my life and I never want to do this and I can't do anymore. And then I wake up and I'm wow, it's good out here. But it really feels it's every time I take 2 steps back, I wind up at the end of it taking 3 steps forward, and it in a bizarre way feels worth it. And that's one of the things I hold on to on my really bad days. It's maybe at the end of this I'm going to feel okay, maybe better, maybe even better.
Yes.
I'll be a butterfly.
I think in this instance, 150%, it's been 5 million steps backwards, but I'm starting to believe that it'll be 6 million steps forwards.
Yeah.
That's just okay, Alina, I love
That's
you.
That. We did it.
Was that tight?
Beautiful.
Was that tight?
Perfect.
Hi, everybody. It's Alina. I'm editing the podcast, and I just wanted to give you an update on my IVF cycle because I know you're all waiting with bated breath. But I retrieved 14 eggs this time, Last time was 5. So 14 this time. I'm at the point where I know 9 of them have fertilized. So 14 retrieved, 11 mature, 9 have fertilized. We're still waiting on the embryo numbers, but I just wanted to give you all that update before the episode ends.
To all of our wonderful new friends, we want to hear from you. Email us at aslongasimlivingpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at aslongasimlivingpodcast. We'll get back to you as soon as our grieving brains allow.
Yay!